Well, first off, I want to say that I want to share an experience that I had last night. You know, I've made videos on economic collapse, and I've watched many videos on economic collapse or crisis, whichever you want to call it. And you know, we try to just imagine at times what these things would be like. You know, we've never experienced them, and so we have little idea of what would take place or could take place. Well, we got a good idea about what could take place. I had went in late afternoon yesterday. I was going to take me a little nap, and I woke up and my TV was off and my lights was off. And my son come in there and he says the lights is off, and they must be off everywhere, because you can go outside and look down the road and everything's off. It was getting hot, and I said okay, and I said maybe they'll come back on shortly. And as time went on, they didn't come back on, and I started thinking, you know, this is what it would be like in an economic collapse if they started to ration out electricity. And here it is nighttime. And I began to think about things. I began to imagine myself in that situation, and people of hunger, people that wasn't prepared, you know, were out in the streets, not as gangs or anything, but just people you see from time to time. And I begin to imagine, you know, these people that I'm seeing probably wouldn't be out there if they had their basic necessities. So, you know, what are they doing out there? I begin to think that, you know, these are the type of people that I would have to watch and fear, because I did have a sense of fear. You know, even as a grown man, I had a sense of fear. I started thinking about, you know, I would probably, if this was true, if this was an actual event, that I would more than likely have my gun with me, either on my side or in my hand or next to me, whatever I was doing under candlelight. And I actually found myself unprepared. And so easy would it have been for me to replace candles that I had given out of just by using them occasionally, you know, just as like a therapy. And I enjoyed candles, especially the scented ones. And over time I had given out, and then I found myself without any candles, without any kind of light whatsoever. Now what if this had been a true event? What if it had been where my son and I had to rotate sleeping in the night, and there's no water? You know, maybe there's no water running. There's no electricity. It's been rationed, and so is the water. But I have plenty of rice and I have plenty of water. But I began to think about the people who didn't, and what they were likely, that they may be likely to present a threat to me. Now, if you come to me and I know and I sense no harm, I would probably give you a baggie of rice. And hopefully, in order doing that, that you would see a need to protect me. And I imagined Humvees with searchlights patrolling the neighborhoods, law enforcement patrolling neighborhoods. Begin to imagine people knocking on my door and me having a sense of fear with a gun in my hand. I don't care how many people on YouTube say they're willing to kill and willing to shoot you. If you don't have a sense of fear at the possibility of having to shoot someone, there's something about you understand. I would only shoot if I knew that you were a threat to me. And going to the door or being able to look in a safe way to maybe recognize that you're not a threat to me, that would be that feeling of comfort. If some people can just raise a gun and start firing, I don't understand. You need to be somewhere. I'm not saying you're crazy, but I'm saying that you're not looking at things the same way about it, the way I am, and maybe I'm not looking at things the way, maybe I should. But that doesn't cancel out the fear that I felt. I knowing that my lights was out. And there was no way to cook. And I have been looking and haven't implemented this yet. And I have been debating whether to buy me a kerosene stove and having to buy kerosene fuel, which is very expensive, or to buy one of the dual burners. When I'm saying about dual burner, it burns on either Coleman lantern fuel or a regular unleaded fuel, which would be very, very much a lot cheaper, and versus the fumes of kerosene. And I'm telling myself, I think about these things all the time, but I haven't done it. And people, I'm saying now that my next check that I get, I'm gonna be buying me a Coleman lantern. Not the lantern, but the Coleman stove. It's an upright burner, not the grid. It's a one-item burner where you cook one thing at a time. And it's a lot more efficient, a lot more convenient. You can take it with you wherever you go. It doesn't cast a scent or a smell. But anyway, I just wanted to pass this experience on with you. And it enlightened me to where be thinking of these things that could happen, and to know that if it did happen, that it's possibly that even myself would be in constant fear, and thinking that these people don't have any means of barter in the streets. And I did confirm in my own belief that silver coinage and gold coinage would be necessary. And that's just by placing myself in a hypothetical event. anyway, I wanted to share this with you guys, and maybe you can get an idea of some of the things that you would have to experience. And I encourage all of us to prepare better than we already are. You'll have a good day.